Hey everybody, Christian Shaw here. I'm sitting down with Amir Towns of Towns Lending and a new startup that I see on your LinkedIn page, CEO of AI Custom Bots. Yeah. So I want to do just a brief introduction for you, and then we can jump into just learning about how you built these two businesses, and for our audience listening, all the small business owners, how they can understand how to get access to capital and learning more about what your companies provide. Sound good?
Sure.
Cool.
Yeah.
So this is taken straight from your website. Thought this was the most appropriate introduction to go with. So Amir Towns, you started Towns Lending because of many small failed business ventures in the past. Most businesses fail in the first 5 years, and the number one reason is because of the lack of the funds. Knowing that cash flow is vital for small businesses, Towns Lending was started in 2018 after leaving the car business, actually.
hmm
And you specialize in medical, but you work in all industries, helping businesses, providing merchant cash advances, lines of credit, term loans, SBA equipment loans, and you've even helped companies file for the employee retention credit. And your goal and your vision is to be the bridge between business and the money that they need to grow. So first question I had is really take me back to the beginning in 2018 when you first started your business. How did it come to be? What was the initial thought? Like, I want to start this type of business. And what was your thinking around it at the time when you started?
Well, I've kind of always dealt with money. So before I was in the car business, I was at a place called Loan Max Title Loans, where people would use their car titles as collateral to get a loan, but it was just everyday people. And then you get into the car business, and I was, focused on used cars because I felt like I was helping people that needed to that normally couldn't get in a vehicle, and I was helping them get funded, but also educating them on, how to refinance out of this, higher interest rate and put yourself in a better position. And so basically I did the same thing, but except with business owners. When I went to the car lot in 2014, I told them, hey, I'm only going to be here to gain sales experience. That was the first day. In my interview with the general manager, I walked in. I said, "Are you guys hiring?" He interviewed me on the spot. I said, "I only want to do this to gain sales experience, and then I'm going to start my own business."
Hmm. So you
I
knew from
told
the start,
Yeah.
this is where you want to be for the long haul.
Oh,
You want to just build up your sales experience and become your own boss, it seems like from the
exactly. And so I kind of I lost sight of, well, I didn't lose sight of it. But my time there, I started a few different businesses. I tried drop shipping,
hmm
failed. I failed. Um, but I failed because I stopped. And even in this business that we're doing now, you have hard times, but you only fail, I guess, when you stop. But sometimes it's just, you got to know when to fold everything up. And so there was multiple different businesses that I started and then failed or stopped.
Hmm.
Um, and then I realized something about myself. Like, I like when I'm in something, I like to really dive into it. And so because I was there, 12 to 16 hours a day, every day except Sunday, it was hard for me to have a side hustle or to start anything else. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to do it anymore. I was already missing time with my family. I had a 2-year-old daughter at the time.
Hmm.
And I was like, I'd rather, if I'm going to be missing time with her and my wife, I'd rather be doing it for our family and not for this guy's name,
Hmm.
whoever name was on the dealership at the time.
Makes sense.
Um,
How did you know to make that when it was time to make that jump? Was there like a clear tipping point? You're like, this is
because so I was promised a spot to go to, like in the finance box where, so after you're dealing with your salesman, if you ever bought a car, you deal with your salesman, then you go to finance and they do the deal. So I was promised a spot in there, and it's been months. And I realized, like, well, one of the top sales guys here, why would he take me out of this position to put me in that position? He would be, so, but he was just I felt at the time, he was just telling me these things to keep me, because I'm the type of person that needs progression. And so he was just telling me things to keep me quiet. Like, hey, yeah, I'll put you in a finance box, and we'll and Honestly, it was just my time to go. Like I told you in the very beginning, I told them this isn't a career for me. This is something I'm doing now to gain the experience. Even though when I was a kid, I would go door to door and sell candy. Like so, it wasn't that I had no sales experience because I've always done my own thing. I'm talking about 8 years old mowing lawns. I got turned down from my neighbors because I was so small. Like this 8-year-old is out here, out there's a liability.
Yeah.
But so I
I've
just
always had the entrepreneurial itch, the
yeah.
entrepreneurial.
And so January 2018, I was like, I'm done. It wasn't in a nice way to where I can come back.
Got it.
I just burnt the bridge. But they because I had a good relationship with them, I probably still could go back. But and that's just the car business. Like there is a revolving door type of industry with sales.
So you were always in, helping people with loans, consumers looking for cars in that case, but you wanted to take your knowledge in finance and your experience in sales, and you built the business around business lending. Walk me through that. Did you start with medical from the get, or did you work with all types of businesses? How did you get it to where it is culminating into Towns Lending?
So when I left the dealership, I didn't have a plan. Like I just knew I wasn't going to work for nobody anymore. And I told my wife that at the time she was my girlfriend. I told her, things are going to change. I understand if you leave. And like I'm willing to go through whatever to get to where I want to be. And she stayed. I ended up going to Georgia after like 4 months, burning through savings and things like that, so I could live with my mom. And she followed me there. And then I went on Indeed or something like that. And there was a post about pitching medical offices and getting them money for the business. There was no training on it. It was just a bunch of papers. So, I mean, and that, I guess it was like just PDF. So I never spoke, like I didn't really speak to anybody outside of like email. And basically what we would do is go on like, I think it was Medicare.gov at the time, and look at all the doctor's offices in that area that have Medicare, because if they have Medicare, then there's most likely a lag between when they file for the insurance claim and when they're getting paid. Because if you go to the doctors right now, they're not getting paid on the spot. If you have insurance, they call your insurance, they send the paperwork through, and then they have to wait 30 to 60 days. Gotcha. So there's a cash flow problem there.
Yeah.
And so you call them up, make your pitch. I got my first deal within a week or two.
It's amazing. At that point, you were like, all you want to do is focus on medical or have specialized.
Well, and from there, I decided like, hey, they didn't teach me anything. And I was a 1099 employee. So I was just a contractor. And that's the way I liked it. I didn't want to be W-2. Excuse me. And so I was like, I'll just do it for myself. I'll find my own lenders. I'll get on LinkedIn so I could get directly to the doctors or the owners of the business, instead of going through gatekeepers. And that's kind of how I got started. And then I was like, well, instead of just medical, I can help anybody.
So now today, specializing in medical, working with all types of businesses for your lending business, and now starting this new venture that I seen you just post on your LinkedIn, the AI bots. How is the business evolving, and how did that all come about with the new?
So I don't see Towns Lending as just like lending. Even in a review you probably see on my site, there's a guy, Albert, he says he connected me with tax professionals and things like that. So I view myself as a consultant. I want to provide services, holistically, and help in any way I can, even if I'm not making any money off of it directly. And so with AI custom bots, basically, I'm fascinated with the thought of AI right now and where it's taking us. And I believe that if you don't find a way to implement AI in your business within the next 3 years, you're going to be left behind. And the people that implement it now are going to be light years ahead of their competition that are forced to do so in 3 to 5 years. And so with AI custom bots, I basically got some developers in the back office, and just reaching back out to clients that I already helped in the past, already have a relationship with them. And basically it can help streamline their sales process, customer service on, the website, things like that.
Gotcha. Cool, man.
Or instead of like a fax page, you can just chat with the bot and it'll answer questions for you. Or it could collect information for leads and send it to like a Google Sheet or things like that. Or
Nice.
send it to Cognito form. So it can do like a full application almost.
Yeah, I'm checking it out right now on the website. It looks pretty clean. Actually, I can just share my screen right now to go through it. But is this also focused on a targeted industry or niche like medical, or is this where do
No,
you this?
not right now. Honestly, it's really still new. So this is really new for me. And so what I wanted to become is more, as I learn more about AI, I want to consult on AI and how to implement it into businesses. So I guess starting out, I'm going to be more broad, but then as I start to specialize, I'm going to specialize. I'm going to niche down, I guess, or maybe it should be backwards. Like I said, it's still new, so I'm kind of figuring, just playing it by ear.
Yeah, definitely keeping posted on that. As a marketing agency owner myself, I'm super interested in all the advancements in technology and AI. And I agree. I agree with what you're saying. Business owners need to learn how to implement AI technology, or else they're going to be left behind and their competitors are going to take advantage of it.
Especially those that are heavily doing business on like social media platforms like Shopify, or really even a doctor's office. Like I can just go to I can touch into that base of clients and just, hey, this thing can help you with scheduling, or answering basic questions, because then there's HIPAA and things like that. You don't want to, but you can just your FAQs, things like that.
Taking it back a little bit to the lending business side of things, since you have the most business experience in that area, what have you learned over the past 5 years since you started the business? Like, how has the landscape changed, especially with the economy and what's going on right now in the industry? Like, what do you see happening? What's different from when you started, and what should business owners, the people watching this right now, like what should they be aware of if they're looking to secure financing for their business?
If you're looking to secure financing for the business, a lot of times you'll get on the phone and you'll ask, is this a broker? And you should ask that because you want transparency. And most of us are, even the ones that are saying no, they're just syndicating most of the time, and they are brokers. I don't see a bad thing about being a broker, but you want them to be honest about who they are and what their intentions with you are, because your file can be handled the wrong way, and you could end up. You want to be in a position to where you're dealing with a consultant, and one that has integrity. You don't want to get a loan from somebody today, and then 2 days later, because you got a call from somebody else, you're going through them as well, because then you're shooting your file all over the place. It's better to build a relationship with one or two people than to just, anytime somebody calls you and they say they can get you some money, like, yeah, here's my information. And so just being careful about who has your information, what they're doing with your information, and who they're sending it to. You want transparency, because you don't want to put yourself in a position where you have 5 positions that you can't afford,
right?
And you have high factor rates, and it'll flush you. It'll kill your business, because I've seen it.
Are there any red flags that you can, aside from asking them if they're a broker right at the start, working with 1 or 2 trusted individuals or partners to secure them financing and building relationships with them? Are there any red flags or, warning signs that we should be on the lookout for when we're looking to secure financing from these guys?
So if I sent my file to Christian at Shaw Capital, if I get a text or email or anything from anybody outside of Christian from Shaw Capital, it's a red flag.
Hmm.
Unless you spoke to Christian at Shaw Capital and it says, and he's saying, no, they're good.
Hmm.
I sent your file to them. You can talk to them, because sometimes your file can get in the wrong hands and it'll be sold to 20 different people. And they'll say, hey, I got your file. Are you still looking for money, or things like that? Or they'll say, are you still looking for money? And they don't have your file. And they'll say, well, just send me over your last month banks. They may have your last two, but they don't have your that third one. And so just watch out for that. If you send it to one person, just focus on dealing with that one person and exhausting all options with that one person. Now, if they can't do anything for you, then send it to another person. But I don't think you should be shooting your file to 5 different people at once.
Okay. And so do you have any well, we can go general if you'd like, but do you have any advice specific to the medical companies in terms of financing? Like what type of, a general advice to the medical companies in terms of like what types of financing they should go after? Or...
That's another thing. Don't just accept any type of loan. If you need a loan for equipment and you only need loan for equipment, then you shouldn't go after an MCA. You don't need a cash advance. You need an equipment loan, because then you can go on a longer term and get better rates. Or you might want to, like, there's partners that we have that have programs in place where they can offer you a line of credit, especially in the medical industry. It's not prime rate. So even if you have a 600 credit, a 600 credit score, and you only been in business for 6 months to a year, obviously that's not going to go to a bank because you haven't been in business long enough. But there's still options for you out there. But it doesn't have to be a cash advance. You can get a line of credit, or if you have accounts receivable, you can factor, but make sure you pay attention to rates. So just understanding what you need the money for will be the first step.
Being intentional with what you need the money for, and
making sure that so if I'm going to buy this equipment, what return am I going to get from this equipment, and how much is this money going to cost me? And even with a cash advance, maybe it makes sense for you to get a cash advance because you can get it today, but at how quickly are they expecting a return on this cash advance, and how much are you able to make from it? And also, if you find yourself constantly needing money for payroll, and you probably got too many people on your payroll.
The thing to look out for. Yeah. So if I could just summarize from my understanding of what you just said, Amir, be intentional with the use of your funds. Why are you looking and seeking financing for your company? Is it payroll? Is it equipment? Is it some emergency that's happening? Then once you determine the use of money, determine what's the return on that money. So once you get that, what can you expect as a return on investment? And then look at the cost of the money and see if this is an equitable, profitable investment to make.
Exactly, because you don't need the money. You need to solve your pain. You need to get rid of the pain. You need, and it is not you. So like with the equipment, you need some new imaging equipment or something like that. You know what the return on that is. And so it's not the money. You don't need money handed to you. You need that piece of equipment. And also when you're talking about being intentional, it comes down to the 3 C's. And so you look at your credit, you look at collateral you have, whether that's other equipment that you may have, real estate you may have, or your accounts receivable. That's collateral. Or cash. So cash, collateral, credit. If you have high cash every month, then you'll always be able to get a cash advance. If you have collateral, then you can get better rates. If you have credit, you get the best rates. If you have if you have all 3, then obviously you're in the best possible. So if you're making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month, you got tons of AR, and you have over a 700 credit score, you're golden. You go and get a line of credit, and go and get it before you need it. Because with the line of credit, it's easier to get money when you don't need it. When you need it, no one wants to give it to you because you're needy. No one wants,
or they're in the position of power to
give you the worst rates. So not the worst rates, but you're just in a better position to get the best deal possible when you don't need money. And so if you're going to go after money, then go after a line of credit.
Love it.
Because then you're only charged on your usage.
Got it. I love it. Well, thank you for thank you for sitting down with me and giving some tips. This is the stuff you don't really hear from brokers, like
Sure.
the actual like ins and outs of what's best for the merchant and what's best for the business owner. Because brokers are always, looking for themselves. So thank you for, taking your time and sharing your wisdom from the years. Just for everybody listening and watching, where can people find you and connect with you for your businesses?
LinkedIn is usually good, or you can reach out to me through my email, info@townslending. I'm not on any other platforms really, like Instagram or anything like that. So LinkedIn, Amir Towns.
Got it. And we'll post it above and in the show notes as well. Thank you so much, Amir. Looking forward to continuing working with you. And yeah, thanks for coming on.
All right, man. Appreciate it.